Hi everyone. Today I'm going to take you through a tutorial on how to format a spreadsheet in Google Drive. So I'm just in my Drive right now, and I'm just in a folder, my accounting folder, but it doesn't matter where you are. I'm going to go to the left-hand side. I'm going to click New and then Google Sheets. And we are going to be using Google Sheets quite a bit in this unit. So today what I'd like to do is just show you some basic formatting you're going to do, and this formatting will apply to a number of the things you'll be working on in Google Sheets. So I'm just going to save this as sample. Alright, so the first thing I want you to know with spreadsheets is that when we see this blue box, we are in something called a cell. And a cell is where a column meets a row. So right now I am in cell B1. I know that because there's a blue box around B1. If I click all the way over here, I am in cell E7. I can also know because up here on the top left it shows me that I'm in E7. So I want to show you a few things. First thing I want to show you is how to change the size of a column or a row. So if my row is too big or too small, so let's say I'm writing, let's see, as we know, I have a cat named Snowball, but the problem is this cell has spilled into cell B1 and C1. So if I want to make sure that all of this is in one cell, I can do one of two things. First thing I can do is I can take my cursor in between the letter A and B, and you're going to see that the actual style of my cursor turns into this right arrow. If I double click, it will automatically make my row and my column large enough to fit Mr. Truhass's cat's name is Snowball. Now, another way I can do it is I can actually go in between the A and B, and I'll get that right arrow again, and then I can hold down my mouse pad, and I can then click it as I'm holding my mouse pad larger so that it all fits. Alright, so I'm going to show you just a few things here. I'm going to show you an example of an income statement, which will be one of the first things we do in this class, and I'll show you some formatting as we go. You'll be able to apply this formatting to any of the things we do in accounting or in personal finance. So I'm going to do an income statement for a company called Snowball Inc. So the first line is going to be the name of the company. I'm then going to put in the name of what I'm doing, and I'm going to be preparing an income statement. And in class there are notes on what an income statement is, so we won't go through that today. And then I'm going to put in the date or the period. So I'm going to do for the month ended September 30th, 2021 as an example. And I've got all these formatting things I need to do, but I'm going to do those in a bit as I show you how to work all of these things. So in a income statement, we always put the company's revenue first, which is the money that they've made. So I'm going to put that they made sales, and they also made commissions. And in a moment, I'm going to put in those balances. I'm just going to put in total revenue. So right now, I'm just kind of building a spreadsheet here, and I'm just typing things in. So then I'm going to put in expenses, and I'm going to put in salaries, not salaried, salaries, expense, advertising, expense. I'm going to put in utilities, expense, and telephone expense. I'm going to put in that this company had 4 different expenses, and then total expenses. And then I want to put in my values. So this is where things will get a little bit trickier for us, but I'm just going to start in cell B5. Besides sales, I'm going to say we had $20,000 in sales. We made another $10,000 in commissions. I'm going to say I paid $5,000 in salaries. I spent $4,000 on advertising, $2,000 on utilities, and 1,000 on my phone. And you can see now some things have started to disappear. So usually I would be a bit concerned, but I'm not going to be concerned this time around because I know that I can go in between my A and B, and I can click and I can stretch that a little bit bigger, and I can now see salaries, advertising, utilities, and telephone expense. So I've put in some numbers. There are a few things that I need to change. The first thing I want to show you in terms of formatting your spreadsheet is I want to center my company name, the type of financial statement, and the date across the 3 rows I'm going to be using. So I'm going to be using, the 3 columns. I'm going to be using column A, B, and C, and you'll see that eventually. So what I do is I'm going to highlight Snowball Inc. and I'm going to drag it all the way over to C. To do that, I go to the middle of my cell, I click on it, and then I drag it over, and I've got the 3 cells highlighted. I'm then going to go to this little icon here. This is called Merge, and if I click that, I now have one big cell for Snowball Inc. And then I'm going to do the same for my income statement. I'm going to merge them. You'll see I have one big cell that goes from A1 all the way to C1. And I'm going to do that for my date as well. So now that I've got that done, I'm going to highlight all 3 of these and I want to center them. To center them, I go right beside that merge icon, I click that down, and I click center, just like you would in Google Docs or any other program you've used in Google. Okay, so I'm happy now with my title. My title will always be the company name, the financial statement, and the date. And now I want to do a little bit of math. So if I were to add these two together, 20,000 plus 10,000, I know that's going to be 30,000. What I can do is I can go to this little sideways M. That's called the sum function. So I'm going to click in cell C7. This is where I want to put my total revenue. Then I'm going to drop down this function, and I see that first one is sum. I know from my math class that sum means to add together. And so I can see here this really weird equals sum bracket and then close bracket. So what the computer is asking me is, what do you want me to add together? To do that, I know I want to add these two together. I'm not going to write in 20,000 and 10,000. I'm going to click on the 20,000 and I'm going to drag it down to the 10,000, and you'll see now my sum function in cell C7 says equals sum bracket B5 colon B6 close bracket. That's some crazy stuff that we're seeing there. However, all I did was did the sum function, and it shows me that I have $30,000. So let me show you that again. So I click in my cell where I want to do my total revenues. In my case, it's C7 here. I go all the way to this sideways M, which is the sum function. I drop it down and I choose sum. And then it's going to give me this formula here. In order for me to finish the formula, I'm going to go to the middle of my 20,000, click on it, drag down to the 10, so I've highlighted those two numbers, and hit enter. And then I'm going to do the same for my expenses, except this time I'm going to highlight all 4 numbers. Alright, so I can see that I made $30,000 for the month, and I had to pay out $12,000. That means this is good. I'm going to make some money here. So that is called a net income. Now, this time we're going to do something a little bit different for our formula. What we're going to do is I am going to hit the equal sign on my keyboard. When I hit the equal sign in a spreadsheet, the spreadsheet knows that I am about to do some sort of math formula. And this one's really simple. So I know that my net income will be my revenue of 30,000 minus my expenses. So I go equals. I'm going to click once on my 30,000, and then I'm going to do minus on my keyboard. And then I'm going to click once on my 12,000, and if I did it right, I should have $18,000. And I do. Perfect. Okay, so now let's bring this home by doing some dollar signs and underlines. In accounting, we have some rules for dollar signs and underlines, and I'm going to show you what those rules are. So the rules are, let's highlight all of our numbers here. And we are going to go over to this 1, 2, 3 sign. And let's choose, financial for now. Let's see how that works. Okay, so I can see here that I now have some commas separating my numbers, which is great. I'm going to get rid of the decimal places. To do that, I go up to my icons again, and there's this little 0.0 with an arrow to the left. If I click that twice, I have gotten rid of my decimal places. So my numbers are looking a little bit better, but I need to add a $ to the first number in each column and then the $ on net income. So to do that, I'm going to do this step here. I'm going to click on the $20,000. I'm going to drop that number thing down again, and I'm going to choose accounting, so I get a $ in, and then I'm going to get rid of those 2 decimal places again. I will do that as well with the first one in that column, and then finally with the last one. But I'm seeing something I don't like here, so I'm going to play around with this a bit. I don't like that my numbers aren't lining up, so I'm going to try something here. I'm going to click accounting. Nope, that didn't work. Okay, so as we learn about things, we make mistakes sometimes, and I made a mistake. So I am actually going to choose number, everyone. We're going to choose number instead of accounting. So when I drop this down, I'm going to choose number, not financial. And then I'm going to choose the $ here and take away my decimal places, and hopefully they've lined up perfect. Okay. So sorry about that little sidetrack, but as we are learning how to format, sometimes even your teacher forgets for a moment. Okay, so now everything's aligned, which is awesome. My total revenue is 30, my total expenses is 12,000, my net income is 18,000. So I put in my $ on the first number in each column and then on the net income. Everything else does not have a $. Now I need to add some underlines as well. Excuse me. A single underline means I'm going to do some math somewhere. So I know that I did 30,000 here. So above that I did some math. So I'm going to click on this 10,000. And then I'm going to drop down this little box thing called borders. And I'm going to choose this one bottom border thing. And now I have an underline there. I'm going to do the same under my last expense. And finally, under my 12,000. That is because those are the 3 places on my spreadsheet that I said I was going to do some math. And then the final thing I'm going to do is where the 18,000 is, I'm going to do that again, but watch what I do. I click bottom border, but then I go all the way to the right to border style, and I choose a double underline. And in accounting, what that means is my financial statement is done. So there's some formatting for you. In this brief tutorial, we went through how to enter data into cells. We learned how to make columns larger by dragging them. We saw how we insert information by typing it in. Our title, we learned how to merge by using this function right here. We also learned how to add $ in. I took a bit of a detour and made a mistake, but that's okay because we learn from our mistakes. And then we did our underlines. So I did the single underlines by dropping down the border. And finally I did my double underline by dropping down the border and making sure that I chose border style with the double. So that's your sample tutorial on spreadsheets. Make sure you watch this if and when you are stuck on some of the things you're doing, and we'll be sure to support you in person as well.